got it.
A short one. Well, good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Thank you for coming to the town meeting. My name is Lorna Bell, I'm the town clerk. So in the name of the state of Maine, you are hereby required to notify and warn the inhabitants of the town of Sangerville in the county of Piscataquis and the state of Maine qualified to vote in town affairs to assemble at the Grace Bible Community Room, 40 Daggy Hill Road, on Thursday, August 19, 2021, at 6 in the evening, then and there to act on the following articles to wit. So Article 1, to choose a moderator to preside over said meeting. Do I have any nominations? Second. Could I get 3 people up here to cast a ballot, please?
Very short moment of silence.
Hey, Joe.
No, he's gonna do his thing.
Paul, you've been nominated. Come right up.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
We'll do the fun.
I, Paul Davis, Senior, do swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and of this state, as long as I shall continue a citizen thereof. I, Paul Davis, Senior, do swear that I will faithfully discharge to the best of my ability the duties incumbent upon me as the moderator of this meeting, according to the Constitution of the laws of this state. So help me God. Sign it?
You're all set. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Very nice night. And before we start everything, let's all stand. Pledge our allegiance to the flag of the nation of the all proud. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Just a brief moment.
The elected has decided that we should do a brief moment of silence. Okay. Unless there's objection, we'll use the main moderator's manual tonight for conducting our business. I will recognize everyone that wishes to speak. I do ask that you raise your hand and request to speak. I do also say that we need to be civil, and when we leave here, we need to be the good friends and neighbors that we are now. With that all said, Article 2. Oh, we've already done Article 2. To adopt the Maine Moderator's Manual published by the Maine Municipal Association as the authority on the rules and procedures for conducting the annual town meeting. And I've already done that. There was no objection, so that is what we'll use. Article 3, to ascertain if non-resident speakers are present and whether or not inhabitants wish to call upon them to be heard. Are there any non-residents that wish to speak here tonight? If there are none, then we can skip over that article. Article 4, to elect one selectman, assessor, overseer of the poor for a 3-year term and to fix compensation. Can we have nominations, please?
Michael Ward.
We have a nomination, who did you say, sir?
Mike Walker.
Mike Clark. We have a second? We have a second. Other nominations? Yes, ma'am?
I second it.
Oh, so did.
Oh,
Okay. Are there any other nominations? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion for nominations to cease. Somebody wishes to make that motion?
nominations to cease.
So moved. Do we have a second? It has been seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none? Seeing none? All those in favor? Mike Wark is the only person that has been nominated. Would you bring your ballots forward, please? Well, there are two positions that we have to do by written ballot. One is selectman, and the other is school board. We need at least 3 ballots.
We'll get you a different chair for this.
Yeah.
I would.
Congratulations. You would go.
He won't know. See the ballot.
Have to.
Yeah, what you doing along? Okay. Has everyone voted that wish to vote? I'll close the balloting and the ladies please count the ballots. And while they're counting them, we will move on. We need to select, to set the selectmen's stipend, and the article says at $800 per year. Do we have a motion? We have a motion. Do we have a second? Second. Do we have discussion? Seeing and hearing none. All those in favor of the $800 a year? All those opposed? It's a vote. Trust me, sir, you will earn it. And then some. And the second, next matter is to elect one school board member for a 3-year term. Do we have nominations?
I nominate Danny Gray.
We have a nomination for Danny Gray. Do we have a second? We have a second?
Second.
Any other nominations? Hearing and seeing none, I would entertain a motion for nominations to cease.
I move nomination cease.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of nomination cease? And it's a vote. You folks, 10 votes for you, sir.
Thank you.
And as you said to me, congratulations, and I'll add to it condolences. At times, not always, by any means. Okay, bring your votes, bring your ballots forward, at least 3, for Danny Gray, or anybody you want to write in for school board. We have to have a written ballot on the
At least
school
3.
board. That's the state law.
Like I'm putting this.
I didn't have anything to do with it. And while they're voting on that,
So you nominate after.
we need to elect
That's
one
a good
school board member for a 1-year term. Do we have a nomination? Anybody wish to serve on the school board for 1 year? Anybody? You're too excited about it. Things change over time, you know. In 1986, I ran for the school board, and we had 200 people vote. Things change. I believe the selectmen have the authority to appoint someone, and if there are no nominations, then we will leave it to the selectmen to appoint someone to the school board for 1 year. To elect, the next is to elect a sanitary district trustee for a 3-year term. Do we have nominations?
I nominate Rick Hall.
Do we have the nomination of Rick Hall? Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Does anyone else? Any other nominations? Hearing and seeing none, I would entertain a motion for nominations to cease.
Nomination cease.
We have a second? Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? All those opposed? All those in favor, this does not have to be a written ballot for this position. All those in favor of Rick Hall, please raise your hand. All those opposed, Rick Hall. All those who wish someone else, get up and state your name. Nobody does. Rick Hall, if you're here, congratulations. If you're not here, I hope you wanted to run. Article 5, to see if the town will set a date when taxes on real estate, personal property shall be due and payable, and set a rate of interest to be charged on taxes unpaid after said date. And the recommendation is the due date is August 31st, 2021, and the maximum allowed is 6%. Under Title 36, MRSA 505-4-A. Can we have a motion on this article?
Motion.
To accept the article as a recommendation? Do we have a second? Second. Discussion? Anyone? Hearing and seeing no request for discussion? All those in favor of the article? All those opposed? It's a vote. Article 6, to see if the town will authorize prepayment of real estate and personal property taxes and pay no interest thereon. Again, Title 36, MRSA 506. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Did someone say they made the motion to accept the article as I read it? Do we have a second? Discussion? Hearing and seeing none. All those in favor? All those opposed? Vote. Article 7, to see if the town, in accordance with Title 36, MRSA 506A, will vote that a taxpayer who pays an amount in excess of that final assessed on April 1st, 2021, will be repaid the amount of overpayment plus interest from the date of the overpayment at the annual rate of 2%. Can we have a motion?
Motion.
We have a motion to accept the article as I read it. Do we have a second? Discussion? Anyone? Hearing, seeing none. All those in favor? All those opposed? It's a vote. Article 8. See if the town will authorize the selectmen on behalf of the town to sell and dispose of real estate and personal property acquired by the town for non-payment of taxes thereon. The revenue received from tax acquired property shall be used to pay the back taxes, and any additional revenues shall be put in the general fund on such terms as they deem advisable and execute quitclaim deeds for such property. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Do we have a second? Discussion? Hearing, seeing none. All those in favor, please raise your hands. All those opposed, vote. Article 9, to see if the town will authorize the municipal officers to spend only those funds necessary for the operation of the town of Sangerville during the period from January 1st, 2022 to the 2022 annual town meeting. Do we have a motion? We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Discussion? Hearing and seeing none. If you favor the motion, accepting the article as I read it, please raise your hands. If you oppose the article, raise your hand. It's a vote. Article 10, to see if the town will authorize the selectmen to accept or to refuse any donations or gifts on behalf of the town. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? We have a second. Discussion. Hearing and seeing none. All those in favor, please raise your hands. All those opposed, raise your hands. It's a vote. Article 11, to see if the town will authorize the selectmen to apply for and to accept grants from private, state, and federal agencies that do not require matching funds from the town or impose contractual obligations on the town. Do we have a motion? We have a motion. Do we have a second? Discussion. Hearing, seeing none. All those in favor, please raise your hands. All those opposed, raise your hands. That is a vote. Article 12, to see if the town will allow the municipal officers to accept revenue generated from plumbing permits and to expend these funds to the licensed plumbing inspector as compensation. Do we have a motion? Do we have a second? Discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor? All those opposed? Let's vote. Article 13, to see if the town will give the monies in the amount of $609.04 raised from the state snowmobile registrations received in 2021 to the Four Winds Snowmobile Club. We have a motion. We have a motion. Do we have a second? Discussion? Hearing and seeing none. All those in favor? All those opposed? It's a vote. Article 14, to see if the town will accept an annual donation of funds from the Millard and Marjorie Smart Trust Fund, and to accept the donor's condition that the funds be used to defray town school expenses and to appropriate said donation toward the town share of RSU 80 costs for FY 2021. The estimated donation in 2021 is $3,000. Can we have a motion? We have a motion. Do we have a second? We have a second. Discussion? Anybody here know Millard and Marjorie Smart? I remember them. They used to live in that yellow house up on Spruce Street. And I think they ran the supermarket here on the corner many years ago. We have a motion. We have a discussion. I did most of it. Yeah, a politician. We have a vote. All those in favor? All those opposed? It's a vote. Article 15, to see if the town will authorize a selectman on behalf of the town to sell cemeteries lots at $150 a lot, 30% of those revenues to put into the perpetual care trust fund account, and the other 70% be used to offset the annual upkeep of the town cemeteries. Title 13, MRSA, Section 1305 and 1306. Do we have a motion? Do we have a second? Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? All those opposed? It's a vote. Article 16, to see if the town will authorize the selectmen or their designee to record all new cemetery deeds in the Scottsboro County Registry of Deeds, and to set $25 registration fee to be charged to the lot owners for recording the fee. And that's according to Title 13 MRS, Section 1302. Do we have a motion? Do we have a second? Discussion? Yes, ma'am.
So that would be in addition to what they've already paid for the lot?
I believe so.
Correct.
Yep. Any other discussion? Hearing and seeing none. All those in favor, please raise your hand. All those opposed, it's a vote. Article 17, shall an ordinance entitled Fire Department Ordinance of Sangerville be enacted, repealing and replacing all previous versions of a fire department ordinance. A copy of the ordinance is posted together with this warrant and thereby incorporated into this warrant by reference. Can we have a motion on this article? We have a second? Discussion? Anyone?
What's the ordinance?
I have no idea. Is the fire chief here?
I am.
Would you care to explain a little bit about
It's
it?
attached to the next page, it just outlines.
Would you please stand up, please? Make your hand in good shape.
It's attached to the next page, go to the floor. And it just outlines the duties and responsibilities of each people and of member and how we'll elect chief officers going forward.
Any other discussion? Any other questions? Okay, if you want to accept the article as I read it, would you please raise your hands? If you wish to oppose it, raise your hands. It's a vote. Article 18. Shall an ordinance entitled Ordinance Exempting Eligible Active Duty Military Personnel from Motor Vehicle Excise Tax be enacted repealing and replacing all previous versions of an ordinance exempting eligible active duty military personnel from motor vehicle excise tax. A copy of the ordinance is posted together with this warrant and hereby incorporated into this warrant by reference. Can we have a motion, please? We have a motion to accept the articles. I read it. We have a second. We have a second. Is there discussion? Anyone? Hearing and seeing none. All those in favor of Article 18, as I read it? All those in favor? All those opposed? It's a vote. Article 19. Shall an ordinance entitled Amend Shoreland Zoning Ordinance of Sangerville be enacted, repealing and replacing all previous versions of a shoreland zoning ordinance. Copy of the text of the ordinance are available for viewing at the town office and on the town website. Can we have a motion? We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Discussion? Anyone? Okay, no discussion. All those in favor, please raise your hand. All those opposed, raise your hand. That's a vote. Article 20. Shall an ordinance entitled Property Maintenance Ordinance be repealed? Do we have a motion? Do we have a motion? Do we have a second? We have a second. Discussion. Discussion. My wife's got her hand up. I need to come on there. I'll be in all kinds of trouble. She raised her hand for everybody else.
What is this and why do we want to repeal it?
What is it and why do we want to repeal it? One of us, the other, whoever the chairman.
Our current ordinance has been deemed as unenforceable. It has no provision for any sort of a sanction like a fine. We sent our current ordinance to the town's attorney to see if we could perhaps add to it so that it was enforceable. And the town's attorney recommended that we not do that because it was too, I think, vague was the word that he used. And what's happened is there's expectations among some of us that our current ordinance be enforced. Our code enforcement can't enforce it because there's no mechanism for fine, and we're just kind of, people are frustrated because things aren't getting corrected, and other people are frustrated because they can't enforce it. So our thought is we clean the slate, and we'll maybe put Jerry's team on helping us craft an ordinance that's enforceable. But that's would be down the road. But that's what this is all about.
Thank you. Any other discussion? The lady back here had her hand up.
My question was answered.
Okay. Jerry Peters.
There is a sign-up sheet on the table for anybody who'd like to help work on it.
Okay.
More citizens involved, the better.
Okay. Somebody over here had their hand up. Yes.
Can you give me an example of a property maintenance example? Give me an example of what that would be.
You might have a situation where a person has what their neighbor thinks.
Thank you.
Yep. You might have a situation where a person has what their neighbor thinks is undesirable debris, old cars, grills, you name it. The code enforcement goes over and says, you need to clean this up. And they said, well, I'm not going to do it. Code enforcement can't do anything. Okay? And so it just keeps going around and around and around.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other discussion? Anybody else? Seeing none? If you favor the article as I read it, would you please raise your hands. If you oppose it, would you raise your hands? It's a vote. Article 21, to see if the town will approve summer and winter maintenance for the Turner Road from the North Dexter Road, which is Route 23, 2,875 feet, to the driveway for the property listed as Map 4, Lot 84, and the Jackman Connor Road from the North Dexter Road, Route 23, 0.6 of a mile towards Parkman Town Line. Do we have a motion? Yes, we have a motion. Do we have a second? We have a second. Discussion. Anybody? Anybody wish to discuss this? Seeing no request for discussion, all those in favor, please raise your hands. All those opposed, raise your hands. It's a vote. Article 22, see if the town will approve summer maintenance for the Knowlton Mills Road from East Sangro Road to the intersection of the Burrows Road. Can we have a motion? We have a motion to accept the article. Do we have a second? We have a second. Discussion? Yes, Chairman Jackson.
I thought we had this subject brought up in a meeting before, and it was discussed that from the East Sandwich Road to the pit gate where I go in, would maintain as passable like it was at the time, and then from there down, as, you know, by the cemetery was graded and maintained a little better grade.
I don't recall that discussion, but perhaps
Still summer maintenance,
the town manager, perhaps someone would have a,
right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm seeing it, it's still summer ma, I agree with what you're saying, Chummy, but it was still just called summer maintenance.
So at the time, we didn't own the road, and we had to go through the process of getting the road and all that. too.
You went through the process, but what the process ended up is you have an easement. And an easement allows you to maintain a road if the legislative body votes for you to do that, but it does not require you to maintain the road. And if you don't vote to maintain the road, then we can't do anything to it. That's why it's on the warrant.
I guess so. I'm never heck on this here.
did you, they have to vote on it so that the town can do it, is what she's saying.
Every year.
Every year?
If we do it every year, then somebody won't forget, and you won't miss a year and won't be able to not work on it.
Okay,
Good.
all right. Anyone else? Did I see another hand somewhere? No, if I did, it's gone away. If that's the end of discussion, all those in favor of the articles I read? All those opposed? It's a vote. Article 23, to see if the town will authorize the Board of Selectmen to dispose of the 1990 John Deere crawler dozer. Can we have a motion on it? We do. Can we have a second? We have a second. Discussion? Peter?
What method will we use to dispose of it?
Would imagine it would go to bid, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Closed bid.
Yep.
It would be a closed bid.
Close it.
I would think, and I think according to law, the selectmen have the right to accept or reject.
Correct.
So they don't have to sell it for little or nothing, or they can sell it if they get a bid that they agree with.
Are we replacing it, or are we just disposing of it?
Disposing of it.
No need for it?
It's just sitting.
Just sitting.
Just sitting.
Paul?
Yes.
And one other-
Gentlemen, I have to stand here all day.
He's right.
You guys are elected just like I am. Come on.
The other thing about it is sitting, but the other problem that we're noticing or we're having is when we do allow contractors or somebody to use it, it's just not being taken care of when it's coming back.
There's no maintenance on it?
Correct. So we're trying to save, we've tried to save money by people using it, but we're still flipping the bill on the maintenance.
So we've been renting it, basically?
We we get a reduced rate of a contractor for using it, is what we've been doing over the last couple of years.
Any other discussion? Yes, ma'am.
Will this mean that the town doesn't have any kind of equipment like this to use?
It's the only dozer we have.
So we won't have one?
We will not have a bulldozer if we sell this bulldozer. But we haven't used it.
Any other comments, suggestions, discussion? Hearing, seeing none? If you favor the article as I read it, please raise your hands. If you oppose it, please raise your hands. It's a vote. Article 24, to see if the town will authorize the Board of Selectmen to dispose of the Comasta wheel loader model WA 200-6. We have a motion. We have a motion. We have a second. We have a second. Discussion. Anyone?
Is this for anything?
Pardon?
Is this like the dozer? No use?
Same story.
Snow removal, nothing?
All of our snow removal is contracted out. We've had a contractor that has used it to load sand in their truck. We got a price from him if he used his own, and it was very compelling to, this item is probably worth close to $50,000, and it's just sitting there with old diesel fuel in it year after year after year. So that's why we just thought it was better to unlock that asset, so.
This is Steve.
Yes, yes.
And how will the money be used? Will that also be discussed? What you're gonna do with the money?
Oh, yeah, no, we can't spend, if whatever monies we get from anything that's sold, it just becomes part of the general fund, and if we wanted to spend it on pavement, we'd have to come and ask, or whatever, so.
Any other comment? Discussion? Okay, if you favor the article, Article 25, as I read it, would you please raise your hand? Excuse me, that was Article 24. Excuse me, Article 24, please raise your hand. If you oppose it, raise your hand. It's a vote. Article 25, to see if the town will authorize the Board of Selectmen to dispose of the town garage property, tax map 20, lots 9 and 16. And we have a motion. We have a motion. Do we have a second? We're going to have a second, folks.
Second.
We have a second. Discussion. Mr. Jackson.
That's a prime piece of land in the town, and got a lot of good uses for the town. And money is a one-time thing, but land is forever. And I'm very much against it.
Mr. Hall?
How many acres of land? I know that Woodlawn.
I know.
How many acres?
We brought this forward because we've had some inquiries. I believe it's like 26 acres there. Obviously, the town is always going to need a sand pile. So we'd have to figure out where we were going to put that, but we've had two contractors talking six-figure numbers for that building, which we're not using. We have to maintain it. It hasn't been used for years. So the thought, we can't really even negotiate and see what it might look like until we have the authority to do that. Obviously, we wouldn't strike a deal that left us without a sand pile and access to it and all of that. But that's why this is before you, is we've had a couple people of interest, and they both have businesses. It's not unrealistic to think that property might generate $3,000 or $4,000 in taxes a year once they took possession of it. So that's why we're talking about this.
Yes, ma'am, and I'll get back to you,
Is that
sir.
land the town forest?
What was the
I
question?
didn't hear you.
Is part of that land part of the town forest, or is that?
Is that land part of the town forest? No. Mr. Hall?
Yes, that land is part of the town forest.
It is.
And, but I don't think we're talking about the forest part of it, right?
No, I mean, that's, it's one whole deed, but we wouldn't have to sell 26 acres. We might sell 5, we might sell 2. That would be up to us.
You would have the authority to sell the whole thing?
In theory, if this passed, yes, we would, but we'd have to make sure we had a place for our sand and gravel. So that's.
Toby, go ahead again. Go ahead, then I'll get you again.
One quick one, Mike, you could probably answer this. Is there any special permit that we have to have for salt?
No, I'm not aware of it. I don't know. We'd have, again, if we were looking at a site, we'd have to make sure it was acceptable.
I know at the time, because it was close to a
So,
somewhat of a stream drainage there, that was an issue.
It looks like a lot of it is wet or damp, but that property goes all the way up to McFeeters. We actually have quite a lot of frontage. We have over 400 feet of frontage on the McFeeters end, which is. Yeah, it does. We all looked at the. Well, it does go up there.
It goes Some of it goes to John, but the rest of it is divided abuts the McPhee.
Jerry, you wish to
Yeah, I'd like to speak on it.
well, you go right ahead.
I think the town should retain that property, at least for the time being. First, it closes the door for ever being able to have a town garage in the future if we ever wanted to. Second, the land surrounding it is owned by the town, and it is a salt storage area. If we sell off parts of it around that, we could inherit some liability, and I know that has happened in the past. So, for those two reasons, I'd like to see the town retain that property.
Okay. Somebody else over here? Yes, ma'am.
I agree with him as well. I think the town has very little things as it is, and I think it's worth its value to have it than to let it go for what it's value, especially at 6 figures.
Yeah. Thank you.
I
Yes,
agree
ma'am.
with Mr. Peters.
Oh,
Agree with
no,
Mr. Peters.
yeah.
Okay. Yes, sir.
The fire department does use that town garage up there. We have 2 trucks stored up there in the wintertime, plus a trailer.
Did you wish to speak again?
No, Paul, I'm having a hard time hearing way down at the other end.
Well, I'll take note of that. I agree they should stand up.
It might be a...
I'm making the selectmen stand up, everybody else should. Okay. Thank you. Speak right up.
You said the property went clear to McFeeters, well, it doesn't go anywhere near McFeeters. You've got Frank Ruxinese, and you've got the other guy, the Greek guy also, I forget his name.
I know you.
Not McFeeters
My
property,
property,
McFeeters
it's on
Road.
my property, and it goes on my property.
Yep,
You know where I live?
yeah.
The line right there goes right straight across, right straight to the road, in the southerly direction. Fence is right there. In fact, they just surveyed it, probably a month ago. The guy come to the house and wanted to know where the line was. I don't know where you get the feeders.
It doesn't go to the McFeeters property, it goes to the McFeeters Road.
Oh, I thought you said the feeders property.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry.
400 feet on that road.
What's that?
There's 400 feet of frontage on McFeeters Road.
Yeah.
Yep, that's what she's talking about.
Yes, ma'am. Would you not follow his lead? Please stand.
Is it possible to shelve this until we have more information and save it for another time, perhaps?
Totally, we brought it forward because we've had a couple of inquiries and we just felt obligated to do that, so.
If it is voted down, if the article's voted down, then if it's going to come back, you'll have to bring it back at a different time. Yes, sir.
From a fire department standpoint, we have an old building that's gonna need a lot of work coming up in the future. There was talk in the past about moving or doing different things. We own that piece of land. It's a prime time spot. We could already move up there, either have your fire department, whatever small part of the fire department you wanted, keep your salt and sand pile, and we wouldn't have to purchase a piece of land to do that. So I think it's a bad idea to get rid of that piece of land.
Thank you. Anyone else? Mrs. Peters, would you stand, please?
I have a question that has to do with the town garage and town employees. What are we going to do about the potholes that are breaking belts in our tires because we don't have anybody to maintain the road? Who do we call? What do we do? And we're selling off our equipment in our town garage. We can't build these potholes out of the sky. We need somebody to do something with potholes. I got a mile on our road from Bob Brown's up to Irving McNaughton's with about 7 culverts. It'll take the frame right out from underneath your vehicle. And potholes that are more than halfway across the road. To repave that road is going to cost us more than it would be if we had one town person that could go out and put some tar in them.
Okay.
Do you want to
Any
speak to that?
other
or-
comments or discussion?
It's not really the item.
If you want to comment
I
on
just
it.
wanted to say that I have a contractor who's going out in the next couple of weeks to patch.
That would be awesome.
So he'll be going around town but probably starting at Silver's Mills.
Yeah. Well, I've got broken belts in my tires, and I don't like having to buy tires too often.
Okay. Tell me, and then I'll get you there, okay? Tell me.
I got two different things. Why can't we drain the water and stop heating that room? What I gotta do is shut the water off and stop heating it. I mean, why are we buying fuel to heat a empty room? And two, we're grandfathered for that salt plant. And if we have to move that onto another piece of land, we could be required to put up a salt building, fan building.
I was going to comment.
Oh, your turn.
I could be so, I don't know. Stand right up, sir.
Actually, Chummy, we already found out about that, when the people was asking if we was to ever sell that. Like Mike was saying, we do have 450 feet up on McFeeters, and we can move you can move that salt pile to anywhere on the property, and you're still grandfathered. It doesn't have to stay in the same exact spot. It
On
doesn't.
that property,
Yep, but we could move the pile anywhere we wanted to.
except what?
Correct. Which is, already is now, so.
But if you sold the property and moved it to a different property, then you would have to build one of those.
Different
those
rules,
kind of-
different rules.
Yep.
Okay.
But you could move it first and be okay.
I'll get with you, Toby, I promise these ladies. Go ahead.
I'm not speaking for myself, I'm speaking for a friend, Alice Moulton. She's out there on Silver's Mills Road, her culvert is practically gone, it's all rusted out, you can hardly get over it. And she has called the town office and complained and asked and got not heard.
Did you hear?
I understand the attractiveness of having businesses in town. We lack businesses, it would help our tax base. But I also see the value of keeping that property for now outweighing the need for having another business in. It is a piece of valuable property. It will continue to be a valuable piece of property. The article as written is kind of an all or nothing. I would prefer to see it voted down, and if in the future a decision is made again to try and sell off maybe the business part on the road and save the town forest, access to the town forest, another more carefully worded article that would allow that kind of thing to happen might be more palatable. But as written, I see it as letting go something that is of value to the town more than a couple $1,000s a year in taxes from a new business.
Thank you. Anyone else over here? Yes, sir?
I mean, obviously, that piece of property costs us probably little to nothing to hang on to. And if you got people that are interested in 6 figures buying it, I mean, isn't there a possibility for a pretty decent lease option? You know, for the building and a certain piece of land or the crew, you know, money for the town, possibly a little tax benefit as well, and we still remain owners and control of the property.
Thank you. Toby, did you want to?
No, I'm fine.
You're okay now? Anyone else? Hearing, seeing none? We have the article in front of us. If you approve of the article, as I read it, after our discussion, please raise your hands. If you are opposed to the article, please raise your hands. The nays have it. The article is defeated. Article 26, to see if the town will authorize the town of Sangerville to enroll in rapid renewal. Do we have a motion?
I move Article 26 as proposed.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Discussion.
What is it all about?
I was going to ask what rapid renewal was. What do you folks?
Certainly. Rapid renewal would be to be allowed to do your registrations online.
I can't hear you.
I'm sorry.
It's like the Moses system, Inland Fisheries and Wildlife. You can register your boat online.
Oh, okay.
And this would allow you to register your car online, your truck online.
I'll go along with that.
Well, go ahead, Maureen. You can tell us the details.
Okay, if you do that, you use a credit card, it's gonna charge you 2.07%. The town of Sangerville is also gonna lose their agent fee, which is $5. For an example, what we had in agent fees for registered vehicles last year was $8,500. So for everyone that participates in it, the town loses the agent fee. It's 2.5%. It's going to cost $900 to get the initial program, and it's going to cost $250 a year to maintain that program.
Does this just pertain to inland fishing and wildlife?
This is just for registering your cars, and we can look down the line for boats.
Register car and everything?
Register a car, not a brand new one, just when you have to re-reg. You can do it online.
But can we do either one? Can we come into town?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah, the choice, you can always come into town, absolutely. This is just for some people that would like the opportunity to be able to do it online, not have to come into town. Or the people that go to Florida in the wintertime, they can register down there and they can be
So
mailed.
we wouldn't lose all our revenue then?
No.
All right. But I'd like to be able to give you a lot of money.
I was just using the Moses system of IFW as a comparison to what they're proposing, that's all. This doesn't have anything to do with hunting licenses or fishing licenses. You already answered that. Is there other discussion? Yes, sir.
Is this gonna cut the payroll budget for the town?
Is this going to cut the payroll budget for the town?
We'd have to see how much it cut business in the town office.
Right, so if you all weigh the agent fee versus what it costs us to have an employee, each way it balances out.
We haven't weighed that out. We actually spoke to several other towns. Surrey has had it for 3 to 4 months. They've only had 25 people use it.
Right.
I think they're busier than we are, but I have no way of judging that. So we'll just have to see how many people would want to use it and then go from there.
And it costs money? It costs money to have it? Did I understand that it costs $250 a year?
To get yes, that's exactly right. To get the Trio module, which is our accounting software, it'll cost us a fee of about $900 to $1,000.
A year?
No,
25 people?
No, that's once. And then every year it'll cost us $250 to maintain that.
20 to 25 people, typically.
We don't know.
We don't know.
Okay, could be a lot of people. I don't know how many people would think this.
Other discussion? You could compare this a little bit with fire permits. For quite a long time, you could buy your fire permit online. It cost $7 to do it. The state gets so little business, they did away with it this year. So, I'm not sure, rapid renewal would be the same, but I can tell you what happened to fire permits. If there is no more discussion, if you favor the article, please raise your hands. If you oppose the article, raise your hands. The nays have it. And I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Do we have a second? Second. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, if you oppose it, I'm going home anyway. There you go. I do have a couple things I wanted to share with you folks. The legislature this year, I was put on the Appropriations Committee, which I've had opportunity to do that before. Trust me, my reason for not doing it is because you work 3 times as much time as you do any other committee, but I agreed to do it this year. And we had a lot of, I would like to characterize it perhaps as tense negotiations, but ending result, the folks back home, revenue sharing is going from 3.75% this coming year to 4.5%, and then the following year to the statutory amount that it's supposed to be at 5%. The homestead exemption, which now is funded by the state at 70%, the state is going to kick in an extra 3% for the next 10 years until we get to total state support of homestead exemption. The town of Sangerville, sometime, they've had one extension and asking for another one. A lot of paperwork and stuff involved in this, but the town of Sangerville is in line to receive $130,000 what is called the APA money, which is the American Rescue Plan money from the federal government. And the final thing that I can tell you tonight, if you have a W-2 from working in 2020, you will receive a $300 check from the state of Maine sometime before Christmas. That amounted to $150 million being put back into our economy in this state, and $150 million the politicians don't have to spend. So that, we adjourn. Good meeting. Thank you very much. God bless you all. Yes, sir. I'm done.
Thank you, Paul.
Maybe I missed something here. I come to this meeting about the town hall there.
Well, there was a paper
Well,
over there.
maybe I missed something here, folks.
No, it's not on the agenda.
Sir, it's not on the agenda.
What was this right here?
No, that wasn't from us.
That was from the historical.
Well, who sent me this damn paper?
The historical.
People in the back.
Well, okay, well,
She's right there back. There you go. Go talk to her.
I'm talking about, having a,